Hello everyone, thank you for joining my YouTube channel Azure with Umesh. Today we are going to talk about the Azure Private Endpoint. In here we are trying to connect Azure SQL database, which is PaaS service, to connect to a infrastructure service which is running on Azure VM. So in here you can see we have utilized multiple services to achieve this. As you can see, we have two VNets for the virtual machine and the private endpoint, and we have Azure DNS, and we have configured multiple solutions like VNet peering and so on. So first of all, we have to do like kind of VNet peering between the VNet, because we have to configure the private connectivity between the two VNets. After that, we can configure what you call private endpoint for the SQL database, and after that we can start configuring the Azure DNS, which is automatically created during the private endpoint creation. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, this is the resource scope that is available Azure SQL database. As you can see, I have already created Azure SQL database here and the VNet for the endpoint creation. And we have another resource group which is contained in the VM, App Server VM, and it has separate virtual network as well. First of all, let's configure the VNet peering between these two VNets. To do that, navigate to one of the virtual network, and you can go to the peerings. And you can go to the peering. So in here you can add new peering by click on add. Here you can configure like peering. You can configure VNet names by PL test, private link test to App Server VM VNet. VM VNet. Okay, we need to select the target VNet here. Here, and you need to allow the App Server VM to receive the forward traffic to PL test as well. You need to tick that as well, and here you can name the VNet peering for the other end as well, other VNet peering as well. Okay, and here also you need to tick that to enable the traffic between those VNets, right? Okay, now click on add. That is the first thing we have to do during this configuration. Once we done with that, we can start creating the private endpoint from the SQL database. Okay, go back to the resource group that the SQL database available. So you can click on the SQL Server, not the database, because we need to configure the network configuration here, which is available for the in the SQL Server. So just click on the networking, and you can see we don't have any public endpoint access for the SQL Server. It is already disabled, so we have to create the private endpoint. To do that, click on the private access and create a private endpoint here. Okay, resource group will be the same as the SQL database, and we can give the private endpoint PE test, and it will automatically create the network interface as well. Select the region, and click on resources. In here it will automatically create select the resource type as SQL, because we are creating this private endpoint for the Microsoft.SQL resource type, and target sub resource will be the SQL Server. Okay, here you can see we can select the virtual network for the SQL database endpoint. To do that, just select the PL test, because this demo VNet will be the VM virtual network. To do, we have to change it to the PL test that we created for the SQL database, and the subnet will be also automatically selected, the default one. This configuration will be, we can keep as it is, dynamically allocate IP addresses, and click on next DNS. Okay, this is okay. In here, as you can see, once we create the private endpoint, it will be automatically create the private DNS zone as well. Click on tags, next, and review plus create. So it will take some time, around 1 to 2 minutes. Let's click on create. While this is creating, we can check the VNet peering that we configured for the both VNets. Is it already created for the target environment as well? Let's check that. Click on peerings. Yeah, it's already automatically created while we are doing the configuration from the PL test side as well. Okay, let's wait for 1 to 2 minutes to create this private endpoint. Okay, resource for the private endpoint already created. Okay, let's see what resources created during this deployment. As you can see, it created automatically what they call private endpoint and network interface and the private DNS zone. Those three services automatically created during this private endpoint creation. So let's see what we have done so far. We have two environments, virtual machine with this associated virtual network and SQL database, and we have already created private endpoint for using this VNet as well, and we already created the VNet peering between those services. During this private endpoint creation, we have already created the Azure DNS private endpoint, Azure Private DNS as well. So let's continue the configuration. First of all, you need to navigate to the private DNS zone and click on the virtual network links. As you can see, virtual network for the source environment, which is PL test, which is available inside the SQL database environment. It is already linked here. Since these virtual networks, we have two virtual networks, we have to add the destination app server VNet here as well. To do that, click on add, link name. You can give like app server VNet link. You need to select the VNet and click on enable auto registration and click on create. so it will start automatically creating the virtual network link here. Let's wait until create that. Yeah, it's created. As you can see here, there's a column called link status. First one, which is automatically created one, which is completed. This is the link that we just created. It is still in the in progress status. Let's see, is it changed to completed or not. Still in progress. Okay, it's now completed. Now we have linked the Azure virtual machine VNet here for the DNS zone. Okay, now let's check the connectivity is already established on us. Let's check what private IP address already assigned to the SQL server. To do that, let's navigate to the private endpoint here, and you can click on DNS configuration. Okay, this is the IP address already assigned for this private endpoint for the SQL database. You can check using IP address or FQDN using the network troubleshooting for the virtual machine. Let's check how we can do that. Let's copy the IP address, go to the virtual machine, and go to the connection troubleshoot. In here, as you can see, source will be automatically selected as this virtual machine. The destination type we can select as a virtual machine or specify manually. So click on the specify manually here and put the private IP address here, and we can change the IP type IPv4 v6. We can keep it as same it is, and the destination port will be the SQL port. It will be the 1433, and you just need to click on run diagnostic test. So it will take some time, like around 1 minute to complete that. Connection troubleshooting is done. As you can see here, status is reachable for each entity, like desktop outbound NSD diagnostic is also allow. Connectivity test is also reachable. As you can see here from the app server itself, this is the IP address. Desktop will be the SQL Server Private IP. It can be reachable, and the private endpoint, it is healthy. This is the IP address that is assigned for the virtual machine. Okay, let's check from the FQDNS as well. To do that, copy this FQDN, and you can paste it here, and the port will be the same that we need to connect, and just click on run diagnostics test. Okay, FQDN connectivity also reachable. There's no issue with that. It is healthy for the both private endpoint and the server itself. It is reachable. Okay, now let's check from the server inside. Let's navigate to the virtual machine and test this connectivity. Okay, this is the virtual machine that I connected through public IP. I have already installed the SQL Server Management Service instance here. We can check the connectivity using that. Okay, here you need to put the private endpoint FQDN. Just paste the what you have recently copied, and you need to change the SQL Server authentication that I already selected during the SQL Server creation. In here we can put the login credentials, and the password, and you can trust this server certificate during this connectivity. Yeah, it's already established the connection to the SQL database using the private endpoint. Okay, that is how we establish the connectivity between SQL database PaaS service using the private endpoint. Okay, let's see what we have done so far. From here in the overall nutshell, we have completed configuring the VNet peering between those VNets, and then we start configuring the private endpoint. Once we create the private endpoint, during the private endpoint creation, it automatically create the Azure DNS private zone. So next step will be we need to add the VNet link from the Azure virtual machine side. That is the next steps, and we can after that we can like check the network troubleshooting using either Azure virtual machine network troubleshooting plane that is available on the Azure portal, or we can use any command from inside the virtual machine as well. And also finally we can check the connectivity using SQL Server Management instance, or we can use Azure SQL Studio as well. Okay, thank you for watching today's YouTube video. Have a nice day.